Let us go ahead and start the webinar. So I would like to welcome Ms. Aaliya Mir, Project Manager and Education Officer for Wildlife SOS in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. She is a noted environmentalist and one of the first female rescuers in the state. She tackles everything from researching brown bears to making headlines for rescuing the extremely venomous Levantine vipers, to educating young women of Kashmir about the need for wildlife conservation. Recently, on the occasion of International Day of Forests, she was felicitated by Manoj Sinha, Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. Congratulations, ma'am. Today,
Thank you
she
so
is here
much.
to talk to all of you about the very pressing topic of human-leopard conflict in Jammu and Kashmir. Ma'am, is there anything you would like to say as an introduction?
I think you have given a very, detailed introduction of mine. Thank you so much. And, a person is made with all the support he receives from his teammates. And, I feel like that I'm here because my team is back, who's supporting me. So thank you so much for every one, for each and everyone, for all the support you're rendering to me. Thank you so much.
All right, ma'am. So let us begin with the questions. So could you tell us in brief about the landscape of Jammu and Kashmir and how leopards are spread across this region?
Okay. So first, I'll be talking about the landscape of Jammu and Kashmir in a little detail. So basically, our Kashmir Valley, it's an ancient lake basin. And it's also mentioned in Kalhans Raj Tarangani, who has written the detailed history of Kashmir. So that book has all historical outlook of Kashmir right from the beginning. So this valley, Kashmir Valley, it's approximately 140 kilometer long and it's 32 kilometer wide. It's bound by great Himalayan ranges in the north and northeast, and by the Pir Panjal range along the northwest and the southwest. So it is all bound by the mountains. From one side, it's Great Himalayan chain, and the other side, it's the Lesser Himalayan chain, which is also known as the Pir Panjal range. If talking about the elevation, then elevation ranges from right from 1500 meter at the meters at the base, which is Srinagar. Srinagar is of the altitude 1500 meter above sea level. So it ranges from 1500 meters at the base to up to more than 6000 meters along the Great Himalayan range, and along the Pir Panchal range, 1000 meters of elevation. We do not experience the periodical or monsoon rains, of India, but rainfall is very irregular, or we can say it rains very irregularly. But March till May, we experience the maximum rainfall, over this valley. We experience snowfall on the surrounding hills, the Himalayas and the Pir Panjal ranges. So that's between October to March. And in the valley, the first snow generally it falls around the end of the December, which lasts up to February end. So it's almost 3 months, December, January, February, which are the most chilling months of the valley. The hottest months are June, and they go through the greater part of the September. And we basically have 4 seasons only. We have winter, then we have spring, then we have summer, and then we have autumn. So where December to February, they are the coldest months. March till May are the rainfall months, or we can say the spring months. which experience most of the snow rainfall during those months. And then we have summer months, which last from June till August. And then we have autumn from September, October till November. So this is, the basic, seasonal variations. We have rich alluvial soils, which is, well drained by rivers and streams. And those, yield us rice, wheat, saffron, vegetables, and a variety of fruits. Approximately only 16% of the total area is under agriculture, and the forest cover being the 50% of the total geographical area of the UT of Jammu and Kashmir. So basically, this is a beautiful part of the India. Talking about the forest, we have temperate forests, and they show the altitudinal zonation as found in other parts of the Himalayas. Forests, they tend to be concentrated along an elevation gradient. It ranges from, the forest cover ranges from 1600 meters to 3200 meters. And above that, the scrubland or tree line that starts. So lower altitudinal zone, it extends from 1600 to 2000 meters above sea level, and it is dominated by blue pines, which is scientifically known as Pinus valiacana. So together, it is it has mixture of deodar trees, which is known as Citrus deodara, and then we also have spruce. Deodar trees or forests, they begin to dominate these forests, these altitudes from 1850 meters up to 2600 meters. And they begin to be replaced by silver fir, which are the coniferous trees, and they extend up to the elevation of 2500 meters. And above that is the scrublands. So we can say that we have a huge diversity of landscapes, a huge diversity of fauna and flora. But yes, human-leopard conflict or human-wildlife conflict is the reality of this place, which is really very ugly. As far as your second question, in fact, the second part of the question, the spread of leopards is concerned. We do have this species throughout the landscape of the Kashmir Valley, but as per an earlier report, the relative this research has been done in 2016, and as per that report, that relative abundance report of leopards, we have more abundance of leopards in North Kashmir than in South and Central Kashmir, which is evident from the number of conflict hotspots which were marked in that survey. And these more conflict hotspots, they lie in the this North Kashmir, North districts. And we have been studying the conflict data, which has been written by or reported by the Wildlife Protection Department of Jammu and Kashmir, and it is the most authentic data we have. So we have been studying that data, and that conflict data gives us the incidents right from 2016 to 2020, so it's almost 15 years. So we have been studying that data, which suggests that the North districts had substantially more attacks than the other districts. And it sums up to almost 63% of the total number of attacks. The South, South districts or South Kashmir, it makes up to 25% of the total number of attacks. So together, these two districts, North districts and the South districts, or North Kashmir and the South Kashmir, they make up to 88% of the leopard attacks in Kashmir Valley. But we can say that of late, we have witnessed the presence of leopards in the urban areas, especially areas which are adjacent to Srinagar city. And this is really very worrisome, because this is the city which is mostly and densely populated, and there are human habitations everywhere. So conflict in such places is really hard to tackle. So this is the overall view of the landscape of Jammu and Kashmir and the spread of these species in here.
That is really interesting to hear, ma'am. And you talked a lot about human-wildlife conflict. I think nowadays on the news, we see a lot about human-wildlife conflict, specifically human-leopard conflict. And it seems like conflicts are on the rise. Historically, has conflict been a major problem in the region of Jammu and Kashmir? Or are these newer developments because of any particular factors like habitat loss or human activity, etc.?
Throughout India and other countries as well, leopards have been in conflict with the humans, causing human injuries and deaths as well. Because of this, conservation of wildlife is facing a severe challenge due to public perception or the media coverages and the hostility of the people. In Jammu and Kashmir also, at times, leopards have held the place in an absolute state of terror because of its opportunistic feeding behavior. But I must say that conflict is not a new phenomenon in Jammu and Kashmir. There is enough historical evidence to show that it's an old phenomenon. It has certainly escalated greatly in past few years because of several reasons, whether this is due to change in forest cover, or change in land use practices, or change in livelihood options practiced by the local populace, or a decrease in wild prey for the predators, or indeed due to change in behavior of the predator due to easy access of food in the form of dogs or livestock, or maybe all of them. It's we can say it's an arguable point. But as per the data from the Wildlife Protection Department, we assessed a total of 371 leopard attacks. These many 371 leopard attacks were reported in Kashmir Valley only. I'm not talking about Jammu, so I'm talking about Kashmir Valley only. So 371 leopard attacks were reported in 15 years. Okay, so out of this, a total of 281, which amounts to almost 75.7%, resulted in injury. 90, which amounts to 24.3%, resulted in death, which is almost the same figure in other parts of India or the neighboring country Nepal, but comparatively it is on higher side when compared with Iran, where we have a good populace of leopards, where the death rate is just 3%. So this is the historical background of the leopard conflict in Kashmir.
That is quite a great number.
That is.
Let us move on to the human element of the conflict. What are the views of the local people that live in close proximity to these leopards, and how have their lives?
So as I mentioned, that people are very hostile towards this species because of its behavior. And I can tell you that though locals have been living with the wildlife for ages, but their knowledge about the behavior and ecology of the animal species is remarkably poor, very poor. They believe in many non-scientific ideas and myths. Almost 90% of people are unaware of the actual root cause of the human-wildlife conflict, to avoid or how to prevent these conflicts. So this ignorance is one of the root causes of the conflict. Mere sighting of, of this species, a person's perception, about wildlife that gets altered. I have really experienced this because most of the times I'm always in the field with the common masses, and I can tell you that people's perception about wildlife, that abruptly changes, and the level of intolerance towards wildlife that increases, especially if if a damage is caused. So I must tell you that I have seen people living in conflict prone zones suffering from fear psychosis, literally, and which is really very bad, and that has badly affected their daily routine. There are so many anecdotes which I can share where people feel like they cage their children, they don't let them go out. This is kind of psychosis they experience. But this kind of behavior of people can be changed by enhancing their knowledge. So I think that is one of the basic exercises which must be done in with people, so that this we can handle this fear psychosis among them.
Thank you for those insights, ma'am. And you mentioned that you are on the field a lot. As I understand, quite recently, you were dealing with a very pressing issue of a leopard that had entered a human habitat in Srinagar and caused a stir among the people over there.
Yeah.
So how are you investigating this issue, and how are you going about the task of tracking one of the most stealthy animals to walk the lands of India?
Uh, yes. Uh, just less than a month before, a leopard had entered the human habitation, which is, less than 5 miles from center of the Srinagar city. A same episode also happened in January 2021, where we could rescue the animal operation, because this animal had taken shelter in one of the most populated cities of Srinagar. So we have to be very careful so that it could not do damage the property. So almost after 5 days we could be able to evacuate that animal from that habitation. But this time the level of scare and panic was too high, and so responsible for that escalation of psychosis among the people. Sorry. I'll just try to give you an insight of this event. So it happened just few days back. Two leopards, their sight was caught in one of the CCTV cameras. So it was circulated all over the media, through Facebook and all media handles and social media sites. So a Wildlife SOS team, we went to the place, scanned the whole area, and it was believed that the leopard might have strayed into the habitation, which actually falls in the 10-kilometer radius around the Srinagar airport. So we basically have a good green belt around the Srinagar city, and the largest green belt is the Srinagar airports area. That's like like a forest, because it's a huge area. And we also have very few local forest areas. And besides that, we also have a large social forestry department. But the problem is that those nurseries, they are kept like uncleared and unchecked. And those nurseries which which is spread over, they literally take the form of a forest, and those areas, they literally serve as the shelter to these stray leopards. So we can say that these animals are believed to have been living in this area and have got well adapted to live near the human habitations. We can say that there might be a behavioral change in these animals because there is a plenty of food available to them in the form of dogs. So we see in these leopards, in these animals who have adapted to live near these human habitations, and they have they have got adapted to feed on the dogs and other small rodents which are easily available in all those areas. Moreover, there are so many unfinished vacant houses, and there are a few plots, vacant plots, which people have they have bought the plots as what can be said for that. So they buy those plots and they keep it as such for a long period of time. Again, they keep those plots unchecked, unclear for a longer periods, and these animals. So those plots and those vacant buildings, they pose a great danger, great threat to the humans, because besides this, the heaps of garbage, or we can say the improper disposal of the garbage, is the another biggest problem which attracts these leopards to these human habitations, because those garbage, they attract dogs and attraction to these leopards. So we scanned the area, we found there are plots, we tried to look for this animal in those plots, in those rooms were set, and wildlife teams were deputed to monitor the movement of the leopard in the area. Trap cages were set, camera traps were installed to locate the presence of the leopard, and trap cages were set to capture it. Along with this, door-to-door campaign to avoid the conflict was initiated in the area. Advisories were released through multimedia, through social networking sites, and through the local WhatsApp groups. Along with all this, area-specific conflict avoidance posters and flyers were designed and distributed among the people. As you can see from the picture, we basically designed the area-specific posters, because all do's and don'ts, all or advisories is not applicable to all areas, and different precautionary or do's and don'ts is applicable to the rural areas, whereas urban areas, since there is different landscape, different situations, so we try to design the flyer or the poster, which flyers, they are designed, and we also have one poster which is pictorial. I mean, that pictorial so that pictorial that you can see on the screen, it is meant for people who are illiterate, who can't read and write. So these pictures, it depicts what should be done and what should not be done. So this is a kind of awareness campaigns we do in such conflict prone areas. Sorry. So people are urged to follow the advisories so as they can avoid the conflict. So fortunately in that area, no casualty was reported since then. And it is believed, now it's almost a month, so it is believed that the animal has gone back to its habitat, which we have confirmed through a camera trap image. But still we are active in that area. We still go to local masses, local populace there, and we try to gather as much inputs we can, so that we can build confidence among the people, and we can remove that fear psychosis from their minds, and we can eradicate the myths and whatever wrong beliefs they have in their minds. So this is the type of work we are doing in that area. And due to the repeated presence of leopard in this area. It's not, it's not only this time. The leopard was spotted last year as well, and in 2020 as well. So because of this repeated presence of leopard in that area, it is being assumed that these leopards, they have learned to live within human landscapes, because they are getting shelter, they are getting enough cover, and they are getting enough food in the form of dogs. So it is, uh, it is advisable to advocate the people there how they have to live to learn, or live to learn with these species, with the precautionary measures and with all the safety guards they can, the safety measures they can take.
All right, ma'am, that is a very interesting insight. And you mentioned that these leopards have learned to live among us humans. So
Yeah.
what are some precautionary measures that we as individuals can take to prevent an unfortunate encounter with a leopard? I think somebody in the Q&A is also quite curious about this, and they also wanted to know what are the mitigation measures against this human-leopard conflict, and how can we stay safe if we spot a leopard in our neighborhood?
See, as I said, that we have devised area-specific precautionary measures or advisories or do's and don'ts, whatever we call them. But there are few measures which are applicable to all areas, like and these do's and don'ts, yeah, or advisories. This is based on the studies we have done all these years. So it is not that it's like we have said it and you have to do it. No, this is based on the facts and figures and the data. So first and foremost, we have to ensure that the children are not alone in the dark hours in the areas. I mean, in the areas where we have the presence of the leopard. Why? Because the data which we were studying, for the 15 years data, that suggests us that the victims in the age group of 0 to 9 had the highest death rate, which amounts to almost 71%. So because they are most vulnerable and they can't, give tough fight, they're easy prey to these leopards. So it has been, reviewed that children of the age group 0 to 9 had the highest death rate, because they can't give fight to these leopards. And this age group, they also made up roughly 57% of all deaths. I mean, there are 90 deaths. 57% of the deaths are in this age group. So we have to take care of our children. We don't have to let them unattended. If they have to, we have to accompany them to the school or to the tuitions or wherever they want to. And we have seen that, I'll just share this. We have seen in all the areas that these children who fell prey to this leopard conflict, either they were playing in the nearby forest or nearby nearby areas, and they were unattended, they were alone. That's why they were taken as prey by this leopard. So this is, first and foremost, we have to ensure the safety of our children. We don't have to let them go out unattended. So that's the first thing. Then if people have the pets, they have to keep them inside the houses or in an enclosed cage, because these pets, they serve as an attractant to these leopards. This we have experienced in many places. Recently, in last year only, 2021, a leopard picked rabbits from from the garden area of a house. The next day, their child was picked up by that leopard. So we have to, we have to take care. We have to seriously follow these advisories. So we always suggest that, if people have the pets, either they have to keep them inside the houses, or they, in an enclosed cage, so that they can't, attract the leopard to their places. Next, as I mentioned, that improper disposal of the garbage again is a big problem, because they attract dogs, a huge number of dogs, and these dogs, they attract leopards. And again, this has been observed, this has been experienced in all the areas where we have these leopard conflicts. So we have to, dispose our garbage very carefully under the ground, so that it don't attract the dogs, and ultimately we can keep the leopards at bay. If we have any vacant plots or abandoned buildings around us, or if we have bushes or shrubs around our vicinity or in the surrounding of our house, we have to clean them, we have to clear them, so that we can have a good visibility of the larger area surrounding our houses, and that can help us to prevent these leopard conflicts, because we are not giving them any hiding places around our houses. So that way also we can keep these leopards away from our places. We have to keep vigil on construction sites, abandoned buildings, or any vacant private plots with overgrown bushes, for the presence of any kind of wild animal. In case we have sighted a leopard around our vicinity, and we have to give that animal a safe passage, so that it can go back to its wild, because this animal, it has there, so he has not come to settle in the human habitation. He has come for the food or anything. So we have to give the safe. And meantime, we have to call the wildlife department, who have the manpower, skilled manpower, who can tackle this situation in a better way, so that we can minimize the damage to the people, to the property, and to the animal as well. So this is actually the ideal way of handling this sighting of an animal or the human animal conflict. So but here we see the other way. The situation is always the other way around. People see an animal and they make huge hue and cry on the media everywhere, and the people circulate this like the forest fires, and that worsens the situation for that animal and for the people as well. So these are the basic precautionary measures which we have to adopt, so that we can avoid this human leopard conflict in our vicinity.
Thank you for that important information, ma'am. I'm sure it would be useful to everybody over here in case they ever got into this situation. Let us also take a look at the Q&A. I think a few people have asked questions. So I'll read them out to you and you can answer them.
Okay.
So somebody called Swarnali is doing a project on human-wildlife conflict in an urban city, and they want to find out the spatial and temporal patterns of this conflict. So they want your advice on how to choose questions for the survey to get more information about the human-wildlife conflict there.
For the questionnaire, I mean, they have to ask very silly and very basic questions, because as I said, that although people have been living with these wild animals from ages, but they have very low IQ about the behavior of the animal. So basically they have to start, don't ever try to put, words into their mouth. Just listen to them. Start with basic questions, what wildlife you see, and you can, keep few the, main wildlife species that area is inhabiting. And then ask very, very basic questions. What wildlife you see? Is there area? And then you can also show them the pictures. Do you find this animal here? Do you find this animal here? Have you seen this animal anytime? You have to start with the basic questions that can give them the fair idea of how these, how these animals, take the ranges. So first and foremost, don't put your words into their mouths. Just be a patient listener. They will explain every bit of whatever they experience in their area.
All right, ma'am. I hope that was helpful to the person who wanted to do their study. We can take one more question. After that, I think we should end the webinar, and anybody who has any more questions can send them to the email that will be sent in the chat. So UK Mogit is asking, what are the different types of instruments you use to rescue a leopard from a human habitat, and how do you control the crowd in that area?
See, as I mentioned, we use basically our main aim is to capture that animal alive without harming it. So we basically start with the trap cage, which is, covered with some camouflaging material like gunny bags or some green grass or plants or anything, as you can see here in the picture. So, and a bait is put in the cage. Mainly we keep a small, a lamb, because it makes a lot of noise and it attracts leopards. So we basically try to start with the trap cages. And we also have people who are trained in tranquilizing the animals. So 2 or 3 people are, given the task to, if that animal is seen in the, in the range, and, they can tranquilize the animal. So this is basically the basic instruments: a tranquilizing gun, medicines, and then trap cages, and also the camera traps, so that we can monitor the movement of the leopard.
And ma'am, could you add some points about the crowd control bit? Like, how do you keep?
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about the second part of the question. Yeah, crowd. Mob control is very important. If mob is not controlled, the situation will take the adverse, form. We have actually experienced it in the field. As I mentioned, one of the anecdotes from the last year, that presence of leopard in one of the parts of the Srinagar city. We can't imagine. There were hundreds of people. And nobody knew where they came from. And they hampered our operation, in every manner. They didn't let us to tranquilize the animal, although we got ample chances to tranquilize the animal under the shed, under the, grass, bushy grass. But since there were a lot of people, around that area, that animal was so furious and so aggressive that it did not let us to tranquilize it. So next day, as I said, we took 5 days. It took us 5 days to get hold of that animal. So next day we took the help of the local police, which I think is one of the biggest support during those conflicting situations. because police can control the mob in a better way. And second, we have to advocate and recruit few volunteers, few local volunteers who are very well versed with the these neighboring areas. They also can play a very good role and an active role in controlling the mob. So it is either the a good network of volunteers, local volunteers, and the local police body. Those two people can help us to control the mob in a better way, and that can eventually help us to take the situation in proper handling the properly.
All right, ma'am. Thank you for your insights. I think that is all for this webinar. We have a few more questions in the Q&A, but please send your questions to wildside@wildlifesos.org. You can see the email in the chat as well. The recording of the webinar will be uploaded to YouTube in a few days, so you can find that there as well in case you wish to send it to people or in case you wish to watch it over again. I'll end this here now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.